Hi everybody, LG here, and welcome to r/Am I the A-hole? This one's from user Winamdoze. Am I the a-hole for putting ugly one-way mirrors on the windows facing one of my neighbors because I saw the husband looking in my windows? I live in an apartment on the ground floor of a house that was converted to apartments. My neighbors, one street over but the back of their house faces the back of the house I live in, can see my whole backyard and vice versa. My apartment has a whole wall of windows that are on the back of the house. It's gorgeous and it is a big reason I picked the place. I love keeping plants and it let in a lot of light. Looking out, there is the neighbor's backyard, which is large and comes up close to my place. The property line is maybe 10 or 15 feet from my windows. Once it has gotten to be warm out, I've noticed the husband of the family who owns that house looking into my apartment a lot. Even sometimes I'll look up and see him, look away, then look back minutes later and he's still looking. So I started shutting the shades during the day, but that was kind of annoying. My place is a dark, cramped shoebox without the windows open, and I can't do that for too long because the plants were struggling without light. So I bought these window coverings that make windows into one-way mirrors. During the day, when it's light out, my windows look just like mirrors now. From the inside, it looks pretty much the same. The windows look tinted, slightly darker, but that's it. From the outside, you can't see in at all. It looks exactly like mirrors. The section of windows it's applied to is about 8 feet high and 20 feet wide. After a week of the window coverings being up, both of the parents from the neighbor's house came to my door and wanted to talk to me. The wife was complaining about the windows for a lot of reasons. 1, they were ugly. 2, it was uncomfortable, especially for the teens and their friends, to have a huge mirror adjacent to the swimming pool. It's at a time that they feel insecure about looks and they have lost interest in hanging out by the pool. 3, in the afternoon and evening, it was reflecting a lot of extra sunlight into their backyard. They couldn't enjoy eating dinner on the back porch with the sun in their eyes. I believe them that these issues are real, and this is where I might be an a-hole, but I don't care. I still want my privacy and want to leave the mirrors up. I said sorry about the inconvenience, but I wanted it for privacy. They both pushed back on that some, and I said I needed privacy because of the husband's staring. He started denying it in front of his wife, so I took out my phone where I'd taken pictures and sent it to my group of friends, and showed her a couple of pictures of him gaping at my apartment and the texts from that time. He got mad and said he incidentally looked over, and that the 8-foot by 20-foot mirror was a crazy overreaction. I said that I'd keep it up and that I was sorry, but frankly, this was avoidable. I think they're both mad because they called my landlord, who brushed them off. Am I the a-hole for putting the mirrored film on my windows? And the community says not the a-hole, and I totally agree with that judgment. OP, you are absolutely in the right, and if your neighbor hadn't been a creep, then you wouldn't have done that and you would have lived your life normally without anybody looking into your windows and you enjoying the sunlight in your room and them enjoying the judgment-free pool or their dinners at night out in the terrace or whatever, you know? The thing is, you had to do that because he was being a creep. On a side note, I'm really curious about what kind of conversation that wife had with the husband after she saw those pictures and left your house. I'm assuming it wasn't nice for the husband. So anyways, let's move on with the community comments to see what they said. Throwaway96 says, not the a-hole. You proved that you needed the privacy because her husband is a creep and they're upset for being called out. You don't owe them anything, and if your landlord hasn't contacted you about it, then you don't need to do anything that you don't want to do. OP responds, he's only mentioned offhand that he got a call from the neighbors. He brushed them off, saying he didn't care and he just wanted to know how they got his number. I said I didn't give him his number and that they maybe found it on one of his listings online. That was it. Haseru1001 says, not the a-hole. You only put it up because he was staring into your window. Whatever his reason, that's pretty creepy, especially since it seems to be happening a lot. Tell them you'll only consider taking it down if they put up covers on their property which stop the husband from being able to see in your window. If they don't like it, then too bad. Any complaints from any other party who doesn't like it should also be directed to the peeping husband. Empress Jaina Solo says, not the a-hole of why you did it, but mirror blinds that increase heat and confuse wildlife don't sound ideal. Have you tried magical blinds? They are also one way, but don't give off a reflection. I would argue that since the neighbors are the ones being bothered, they can pay for your new blinds, but that would obviously escalate the situation. So that's what the community thinks. Pretty much not the a-hole like we said, and one pretty cool tip. So how about you guys tell me what you think in the comment section, and now let's move on to the next post. This one's from user Sokalierek. Am I the a-hole for taking back my house key from my sister after my niece walked in on me and my girlfriend? I, 26 male, babysit my 7-year-old niece on weekends. Always on 10 AM until 5 or 6, and that's usually when my sister picks her up from my place. Last year, before I started babysitting for her, I gave my sister my spare key when I went on a camping trip so she could water my plants and feed my fish. Then, I just never got it back, but it wasn't a big deal to me. She used it a couple of times to come into my apartment when she started dropping off my niece, so I wouldn't have to get the door for her. The last 2 times I did have a problem with her coming in was when she came to use my Wi-Fi for a class. It wasn't that I had a problem with her using my Wi-Fi, but it was that she didn't tell me, and on top of that, she left my window open because it was getting hot for her. There's been some break-ins around the neighborhood, and my place could have gotten broken into with her leaving it open like that. I asked for my key back a couple of times, and she says she will, but then never has the time. On Saturday, she was supposed to drop off my niece at 10 AM, like we always agreed. My girlfriend spent the night at my place, and we woke up early around 8ish. We had time before my niece was supposed to be dropped off, so we took advantage of our free time. My sister didn't bother to tell me she had to go in early, so instead my niece showed up at 9. My sister gave her the key to get inside. My niece went looking for me in my room. I didn't hear her and yeah. Nothing traumatic, but she definitely knew what we were doing. When my sister came to get her, I took my key back and I was pissed that she dropped her off early with no warning and for giving her the key to let herself in instead of knocking. At least then, niece wouldn't have walked in on us. My sister's mad we were doing that knowing she was gonna drop her off, but also thinks I'm overreacting by taking my key back. She says we never know if my niece will need to let herself in or my sister in case I don't respond in the future or something. But I told her no, and she's not getting it back. It's a day now since our argument and she's still pissed off because she complained to our mom about it. I don't know it's such a big deal when it was my key. Am I the a-hole? And the community says, not the a-hole. I agree with not the a-hole OP, and here's my reasoning. First of all, it is your apartment, it is your key. Your sister is not entitled to it just cause you're babysitting. No. I think the saying goes, give him an inch, taking a mile or something like that. We have a different saying in Spanish, but basically, it's when you give somebody a small privilege, let's say, and they just take advantage of it. I don't understand her logic of her needing your key to let herself inside, or your niece for that matter, if you don't respond. That's what cell phones are for. And also, if you have an agreement that she's gonna drop her off by 10 and no previous changes have been made, then you should be there by 10 and she shouldn't need the key anyways. And finally, complaining to your mom? Really? Like, what's your mom gonna do? Make you give your key to your sister? You're a grown man, you're an adult, your mother has nothing to say in this matter. So yeah, OP, you're not the a-hole and your sister's acting entitled and she's butthurt probably because you took the key away. Anyways, let's go check out those community comments to see why they think OP is not the a-hole. Bad B Crow says, not the a-hole. Having a key to your place was a privilege, not something she was obligated to have. It's not cool for her to not give you a heads up when she's dropping your niece off when it's at a different time than usual. And there's no reason your niece can't come and knock on the door for you to let her in. And OP responds, it's because she was dropping my niece off in a hurry and didn't want to wait around for me to answer the door before driving off. Swigs313 says, not the a-hole. You trusted her to do something, she abused it. You take back the permission. Pretty opened and shut. Though I am struck by the part where she told you you'll never know if your niece has to let herself in. Why would a 9-year-old need to let herself in? You're either home to let herself in, hence why she's there in the first place, or you're not and she shouldn't be there. That's the whole reason she is there, to be watched by you. And seriously, your sister needs to learn to text a heads up. It's a lot easier than the entire conversation you two had. How dare you get busy in your place with your girlfriend on the weekend you apparently give up entirely to babysit her child? Wutu Pro or something like that says, quote, "She says we never know if my niece will need to let herself in," end quote. Well, she will need to let you know now that she doesn't have a key anymore. Unless she's planning on your niece breaking and entering, not the a-hole. Well, the community seems pretty aligned in the sense that the sister doesn't need a key and she shouldn't be having one anyways. So OP, yeah, you're not the a-hole. Tell your sister to get over it and start using your phone to text you if she needs to drop your niece off before the time you guys agreed to. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the next post. This one's from user ThrowArray3829. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to send my son to fake conversion therapy to stop my family from bullying him? I, female 35, have a son. I'll call him Jake for this post. Jake, male 19, is gay and has a lovely boyfriend, Derek, male 20. They have been dating for 3 years. I'm so happy he feels so comfortable around me and that he trusted me to come out relatively soon after he realized himself. Derek practically lives at our house. His parents are awesome. He just likes it here too. I'm pretty chill, cook great food, lol, and let them sleep over in the same room. As someone who was a young teen mom, I know sex is going to happen, and it's not my place to control anything about their relationship. Jake's father is present, but we are not married and he doesn't approve of Derek. He is always invited to family events and his attitude has always infuriated Jake. My family has always treated me as an outcast. I was kicked out when I became pregnant, and I keep in touch because I have absolutely no backbone and I'm working on it. Ever since Jake got a boyfriend, my family has been hounding me to send him to get some serious help. They are heavily Christian and I'm an atheist. They think he's broken and send me conversion therapy propaganda. Jake had the idea to go to Derek's house for a couple weeks and pretend it was conversion therapy. I said I wasn't going to stop him, but this wasn't solving the problem. It would probably just start comments about him being fixed now and just normal homophobic comments. Jake is understanding that I'm not a fan, but Derek is furious that I don't support the idea. He's rallied his family and they are now bombarding me with texts and calls about what a terrible mother I am and how Jake should just stay with them full time because I obviously don't care. I have several deep-rooted insecurities about not being a good enough mother, and this has been a serious blow to my confidence. I'm worried Jake is going to be turned against me. Am I being a bad mother by not being 100% supportive? I try to appear as a happy, bubbly person, and I love my son more than life itself, but I don't think this is a good idea. And the community says that OP is not the a-hole, and I agree with that, because I don't believe that Jake needs to hide who he is to appease some idiots in his family. And I don't agree with Derek and his family now bullying OP to try to get this done. Now this is just my point of view, of course, because I've never been on the receiving end of homophobic comments, so I don't know how harsh or horrible that experience can be. But one of the lessons I've learned in my life is that you should never give in to bullies, and I learned that by being on the receiving end of bullying. If I was in OP's shoes, I would tell everybody to get bent. If the family doesn't approve of Jake being gay or can't stand Jake being gay, well, guess whose problem that is? It's the family's problem. It has nothing to do with OP or Jake, so bye-bye family. And regarding Derek and his family, well, maybe you guys can help me out in the comment section with how you would deal with them, because I'm pretty much stumped on that one. Anyways, that's too much out of me already, so let's move on with the community comments to understand their judgment. Stennen B says, not the a-hole. I mean, faking conversion therapy seems like a premise for a bad comedy, not an effective tactic to manage homophobic family. Does Derek disappear after your son is fake converted? And OP responds, Derek rarely comes to family events to avoid the drama and comments. It's not much of a sacrifice to stop coming to them at all. My family does sometimes swing by the house to say hi or have dinner, but Jake's room is upstairs, and if they want to do this, they shouldn't mind chilling up there for a couple of hours or so while my family is here. Illuminator007 says, "You're the a-hole, but not for the reasons you may think. You're the a-hole for allowing your family to treat your son in this way for so long, and allowing him in his and your life with their homophobia, necessitating this whole fake conversion camp idea, which is also a bad idea. You need to grow that backbone and stick up for your son." OP responds, "That's totally fair. I know I've failed in this. I would definitely appreciate any advice to start slowly cutting contact. I've never done anything like this. I can't even cut off his father, even though he was 5 years older than me when he got me pregnant. It was definitely an unhealthy relationship and I resent him immensely. If you want to do the math, you can. I just don't like writing it out because it makes me furious." Skippy2716 says, "Not the a-hole. So, he pretends to go to conversion therapy. And then what? Pretends to be straight? Hides from the rest of his family? I'm not seeing what the end goal of this plan is. They are a-holes for treating him like that, but you are right that such a deception is pointless. And Derek is being an ungrateful a-hole to treat you as he is after your kindness and support. You are encouraging your son to be who he is and trying to shield him from your family's bigotry. That's the right kind of support. And that's what the community thinks. So if there's anything else that you would like to add to this conversation, just go ahead and put it in the comments section. And now is that time that we've reached the end of the video, when I ask you guys that if you did like the content today, to go ahead and click like. And of course, once again, I invite you to join the community. It's growing every day. And don't forget that you can always engage further with the community in our Discord server. You just need to go to the video description and you'll find the link, along with other links that you might find interesting. And finally, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Again, it really means a lot to me that you guys enjoy these videos and like my content. So having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.